Hello, boils and ghouls, and welcome back to Wannabe Reviewers Freaky Flicks. Now, for tonight's movie, I don't have any fancy, props or anything. Honestly, don't even have a fancy outfit or anything. The closest thing I have is this little paper boat I tried to make earlier, That took me a little bit of time because I'm not that good at origami or anything. But that's about as close as we get. Hopefully that kind of gives you a clue. But yeah, for tonight's movie, just going to cut right to it. I am covering It Chapter 2. Now, I'm going to be honest, this movie kind of left me a bit mixed, alright? For anyone who doesn't know, It Chapter 2 takes place 27 years after It Chapter 1. In the book and in the original miniseries, it was back-to-back, one thing led into another. Here, they decided they're going to, have Chapter 1 be all the story about the kids, the first time they run into it. And then Chapter 2, which I believe, it's been 2 years since the first movie came out. It's all about them as adults, 27 years later, and how they all reunite to hopefully bring it down once and for all. Now, when it comes to good, I'll try to start out with the good. I think the casting was very well done. I think, the moment you see these adult characters, they you don't need to, even be told what child they're supposed to represent. I feel you kind of just know for most of, these adults, So I think the casting was really well done, I think you can literally see some of these kids becoming these adults, I thought that part was really good. I thought the acting was, from most of the characters, I thought it was pretty good as well. I thought that, I forgot the name of the actress who plays Bethany. Thought she was pretty good. Bill Hader, was a standout. A lot of people have been saying his acting was great in this. I mean, I'm usually just used to seeing him in, comedy stuff. So seeing him in a more, kind of serious role and stuff, that was very interesting. James McAvoy, he was pretty good. The guy who plays Pennywise, Bill Skarsgård, if that's how you say his name, very good job as Pennywise. He puts, his heart into it. No complaints there. So, yeah, like I said, so casting's good, acting's good. I do think it is kind of cool. I mean, even though it feels awkward that they cut it into two parts, I guess I do kind of appreciate it, because I feel it kind of does, it kind of honors the book a little bit more, it kind of, it feels it makes it a big event, which is kind of cool. I mean, exciting. There was definitely a lot of hype going into the movie, so, that was really fun. But, yeah, the movie itself just has quite a few issues. One of the issues is that because it's been, 2 years since Chapter 1, and it's supposed to be, 27 years later, where these kids are, reuniting to try to fulfill that promise of, when it, rises again, they'll defeat it this time. So a good, first part of the movie is getting the gang back together, trying to get everybody to remember their past, that sort of thing. Then once everybody's back together and everything, they're told that, in order to defeat it, they have to do, this ritual. In order to do this ritual, they need, items from their past, almost these little totems or whatever. They have to be personal items. So from there, we cut to, each character in order, and we see them, go on a quest, and it's somewhere from their childhood, and on the way there, they run into one of their fears, and they kind of have to face the fear, and then they get the item, and it feels very, side questy, from a video game almost. So, that was kind of annoying. And then, I don't know, I mean, just, the scares weren't that great. I wouldn't even say they were great in the first movie. I'll get to that in a moment. I wouldn't say either of these movies is really that scary. But in the first one, at least the scares felt more legitimate. They felt more hardcore. Here, they just felt very CGI-y, and they felt they just kind of couldn't stand next to, the first movie scares, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I don't know, quite a few issues with the movie. I definitely wouldn't say it's perfect. However, I don't think it's a bad movie either. I do think that it adapts the book quite well. Like I said, there is some fun moments. I think the acting's really good. I think just the hype of seeing the movie adapted this way, I think that was really fun. And I don't know, I mean, something that kind of helped put in perspective for me a little bit too. I've mentioned him on the channel before, but the Movie Void, if you go over and you check out his review of It Chapter 2, he says that it really helps if you go in thinking of this not as a horror movie, like specifically, like want it to be legitimately scary. But he says it helps if you think of it as like a horror fantasy film, which that makes sense, you know, because it's not so much like a horror movie, you know, about, I don't know, like other movies, you know, that are horror movies, and it's all about, you know, like a slasher villain or some sort of paranormal thing happening or whatever. It is at its center this story of these like kids fighting this creature, which has like a very fantasy element to it, you know, especially if you know about Pennywise and how it's from like another dimension, that sort of thing. So if you go in thinking about it more as like a fantasy film that happens to have scary things in it, I think that really does help put it in perspective. Because then, you know, even if it's not scary, I mean, it kind of makes sense because it's like a fantasy film first and foremost that happens to have like scary stuff in it. I mean, at least for me, that kind of helped put it in perspective for me. And once he said it like that, you know, and I kind of like rewatched the film and stuff, it kind of did help, honestly. It made sense to me that, like, okay, even if it's not scary, it doesn't necessarily have to be scary because it is more of like a fantasy thing. So, yeah, I mean, in the end, I am kind of mixed, you know. I do wish some of the scares had been better. I do wish that, you know, they didn't, like, drag the movie on for so long, because it is quite a long movie. And like I said, it feels like we just see a lot of, like, trying to, like, you know, ramp things back up for, like, that final showdown. So it does feel like it drags on a little bit, and it does feel like there's, like, a lot of, like, build-up once again. But I think, you know, like I said, like, the acting's good, the casting's good. There is moments that I like, and character interactions and stuff that I think are pretty good. So, I don't know, I mean, it's not a terrible movie, but it's not a great movie, but then again, it's not a terrible movie, you know? Like, I think if you, at this point, you know, it's not even in theaters anymore, so I think if you just rent it or, like, stream it one night and just watch it, I think you'll have enough fun with it, you know? I think it's worth a watch, so, yeah, I don't know if that hopefully helps you guys kind of get an idea of what I'm trying to say, but yeah, if you haven't checked out the movie yet, like I said, you know, maybe just give it a stream or give it a rent, and you know, you might have some fun with it, so that's kind of what I would say, you know, just check it out, don't expect it to be, like, the best thing ever. But if you keep in mind, like I said, maybe like that whole fantasy thing, I think you can have some fun with it. So yeah, you know, I'm just happy that all these Stephen King adaptations are getting made, because I think there's some really good stuff there. And overall, I would say it was a pretty solid adaptation. So there you go, you know? But yeah, that's been it for tonight, guys. That's my review of It Chapter 2. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. And I'll be back tomorrow with another review, so bye-bye.